Hi, everyone. I'm Susan McLean, founder of Natural Success Institute and Yes Warriors, a kick-ass group of goal crushers. Today, I'm talking to a longtime friend of mine, Tiffaney McClurg. She is definitely a yes warrior. She crushes goals left and right while raising three amazing, super active kids and being married to her college sweetheart, the cutest couple I've ever seen. So Tiffaney entered real estate at a young age, became a top agent, then formed a top real estate team, and is now the vice president of growth for a top 10 global real estate franchise. So, Tiffaney, I truly believe that telling your story changes you and telling your story changes others. So, thank you for being here today.
Oh, thanks for having me. You make me sound so important.
Well, you are. So I have so many questions for you. So let's jump right in. So I know you were 19 when you got your real estate license, and you quickly earned your place as a top agent in a powerhouse office. If I remember right, I think it was the #1 office in the state at the time. So
Yeah.
did you set that as a goal when you started in real estate to rise to the top so quickly?
Well, it's kind of funny because the right answer would probably be yes, that was my goal from day one. But honestly, I was 19 when I got into the business. I went to college at 18, just to give you a little backstory. And I was with my college sweetheart, and we ended up having a baby, and I couldn't finish school. And so I got my real estate license when I was down in Bloomington. And I knew we were going to be moving back to my husband's hometown where I'm not from. And I knew that that was going to be challenging because I didn't know anybody. And but I knew that I would be really good with dealing with people. And so I got my real estate license, put it with Remax, which was the #1 office at the time. And really, honestly, my goal was just to not lose money, because I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I never even owned my own home. I'm just, 19, single, or not single mom, but, but my goal when I first got there was just try to not lose money. I remember, closing on my first transaction, it was like $500. I was like, we're rich. But that quickly changed as I got into it. But my goal starting out, I just didn't even have goals, I feel like, when I first started. But yeah, so I started with that. And then I, got introduced into a lead generation team that was within Remax at the time. And I switched over, and it was before leads ever came out in the Zillow world and all of that stuff. And really, that's how I met you.
Yep.
And, I was surrounding myself with people who had goals and who had a vision. And that is really when my success really kickstarted.
Oh, that's so great. That's such great advice. So just surround yourself with those people. I love it.
Yeah.
So, 19. So how did you get your clients? How did you get the other agents in the industry to take you seriously at such a young age?
So I thought about, thinking about that, it is kind of interesting because now I see a lot of people who are 19, 20 getting into the industry. And the one piece of advice I do give them, and it's because somebody gave me this advice when I was that young, is to always dress professionally and act professionally, because perception is reality. And so I didn't act like a 19-year-old girl who's going out and partying and, just being immature. I really stepped up my game. And if I was just running to the store or out, I would always wear business attire. And I just knew that moving the needle for people to take me seriously was going to be making their perception of me believe that success. So I really think that it was just how I presented myself. Yeah.
And you still do that today. You are still the best dressed person almost consistently in any meeting, in the office, in the company, like that. And that has stuck with you all these years. So that's great.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny because a colleague who's one of the top producers in the area, he would show up to practice and when our kids were little, and he would be in a suit, and he's like, I threw it on before I'd come pick up my kids. I'm going to do the same thing. And then people always asked, oh, did you just get done showing houses? Oh, did you just have a closing? I'd be like, yeah. I mean, you know, make it till you make it.
Oh, that's so great. So real estate can be a very hard business. I know that from experience. So how did you stay motivated as you were continuously growing and pushing yourself?
Well, I think we kind of just touched on it, but I really, really, truly believe that how I stay motivated is I always surrounded myself with successful people. I always put myself in a position where somebody had higher success than me. They were pushing me, they were keeping me motivated. And you never want to be the smartest guy in the room. You never, that is so true. You will just become content with what you have. So I really, truly always try to always have successful people around me. People, mentors, people I wanted to be like, people I could call for advice. And I really feel like even when I was down and not meeting my goals, just surrounding myself with positive people who always had my best interests at heart and would always be willing to share, success stories, motivational things, how to keep your mind in the right place.
Yeah, that's great. So many of us have thought and behavior patterns that we have to overcome to hit our goals.
Mm-hmm.
So do you remember any bad habits or unhealthy thoughts that you really had to get past through the years?
Man, yes. I mean, there's all kinds of thoughts and stuff, but the one thing that I will say that I never took the easy way out. So I always wanted to take the easy way out. So those thought patterns of like, oh, I could just do this. This is easy. Mm-hmm. I always had that inner drive and people telling me, don't always take the easy way out because it'll come back around. So I really think that just, putting in the hard work, would eventually get me to where I'm at, without maybe all the recognition, that comes along with it. But I think that was probably a bad thought. Like I always sometimes, would be like, oh, I just don't want to do this. It's hard. I just want to get out of it. But that's probably the biggest thing.
Yeah. So you are responsible for the growth of a top 10 global real estate franchise. That is a huge job for anyone. So how do you approach goals now versus when you started? Have you changed anything in your process, your behavior, your thought patterns, anything that you could share with us?
So it's probably what you just said, having a process, and prioritizing, because there's a lot of things that can be thrown at you. And you can be pulled 100 different directions, especially when you're in charge of the growth of a company that has multiple offices and everybody's needs are different. So I really just focus on prioritizing my day and prioritizing just everything that I need to get done, and what's most important, what's going to move the needle for me and for me to have the most success out of my day.
Okay.
So I'd probably say prioritizing and having a process that fits me.
Yeah. So do you have any tips on how you prioritize? So I can do the same thing. I know I can look at my list and say, this is number 1, number 2, number 3. But I also know in my experience, some people have difficulty looking at 50 things and figuring out which one they should do first. Do you have any tips, or is it just something that comes naturally to you?
Well, it really it depends on the demand of, what has to get done, because we could be pulled, like I said, in 100 directions. So really, I would just lay everything out and, what the expectation and what my goals are of what I need to have done and what out of the things that have to get done is going to be the first things that are going to, be able to accomplish those. Because I am a person who I define my success off of numbers and things being completed. So that's how I do it. I get my fulfillment with hitting my numbers, hitting my goals, hitting expectations. So I really just kind of lay out and prioritize and back into what do I need to do to get there.
Okay, that's great advice. And I know it kind of comes naturally for me, but there are a lot of people who struggle with that. So working backwards, that's a great way to look at that and what's going to move the needle the most. So how, when it comes to prioritizing everything that you have to do, how do you fit in family and work? How do you balance that? Because you have 3 crazy busy kids. How do you do that?
So I don't know. No, it was funny because a lot of people ask me that all the time. And for you viewers, I have a 15, almost 16-year-old, an almost 12-year-old, and a little girl who just turned 4. And we are heavily involved in travel sports and preschool and high school and everything. But I will say that with all of that and work, like there becomes a lot of guilt, mom guilt, and not spending enough time with your kids. And then if you're spending time with your kids, you're not doing enough work. And from very early on, I just always put my family first. And I will say that it was just a non-negotiable for me. So I've never missed a game. I've never missed a kids event. I've never missed anything that I wanted to do there first. And I always know that if I have that fulfillment inside of me, the other stuff will come, because I can't put them on hold to do work, because I'll never be happy and satisfied. And so I think that, you know, going along with the prioritizing, my number one priority is my family. And people respect that. I think that becomes a thing that could really eat at people's mind when they're juggling all of these things. And the one thing that eats me alive the most is mom guilt. And so I think that that's just a non-negotiable. I do that, but I also make time for work and the balance and myself. You know, Susan, you're a huge person in, you know, the meditation and getting your mind right. And I've really respected that. And I've really taken time for myself. You know, I come first, and then, or my kids come first really, but, you know, taking time for myself, clearing my mind, never missing and putting my family first. And then the clients and my coworkers, they all respect it, and everything gets done. Nothing's lacking, but I just prioritize what's important to me. And that's really what makes it work.
Yeah. And you schedule that time in your calendar, right? So like, you know, Macy's got a game, or Drake's got a travel basket, you know, whatever he's doing, you put that in your calendar, and that is a non-negotiable, time blocked. You can't change it.
100%. I will never waver from that. I never have. And that's what I tell so many people when they ask me that. I'm like, people will respect you more that you're putting your family first.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what's going to be fulfilled. It's my fulfillment. I wouldn't be happy any other way.
Yeah. I remember a time early in my career, it was really early, and my oldest was really sick, like with the flu, sick, like fever, not well. And it would have been the highest sale of my real estate career. And they wanted to go see a house. It was about almost an hour away from where I lived. And I'm like, sorry, my son is sick. You know, can we do it another day? And they're like, oh, my parents are coming in. Like, I really want to see this house. We won't be there long. So I pack up my sick child, drive him like 45 minutes. He's laying on the entry room, you know, like chair, and they were there forever. And I'm like, okay, lesson learned. And so I think sometimes we have to kind of almost make that mistake and say, yeah, I traded my family for my job at this point, and that was a bad choice. And I will never forget that as long as I live, and never, ever again after that did I make that where I traded my family for a paycheck, you know, for that opportunity that I thought would maybe never come around again. And so sometimes we just have to make those mistakes and not beat ourselves up, and just learn those lessons.
Absolutely. I mean, and whether you have kids or you don't have kids, you have priorities, and you have, you know, what you're true to, and only you know what that is. So, and I think as long as you prioritize and you set goals, the other really big thing that I do is when I'm setting goals for myself, I make obtainable goals so I don't find myself in disappointment. And it may be a daily goal. It may be, hey, I want to make sure that I have the kids out of the house by 9 o'clock to all their stuff, and get to work by 9:30, or whatever that goal is. I set obtainable goals for myself daily, so I stay motivated. I don't like not meeting goals. And so I'm not a big fan of like, oh, we have a yearly goal. Like, no, like there's a lot that can happen. Let's move it down to a smaller scale and focus on that, and the big stuff will come.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's great. And that's actually very proven by science that we get these little rushes of dopamine, and our systolic blood pressure increases whenever we hit those small goals. And it just primes us to be able to hit those bigger goals. So yeah, that's definitely a great little hack there.
Yeah.
So when we were talking before we started recording, you said something, and I want to go back and revisit this. So you said we were talking about COVID-19 right now, that we're starting to come out of it, but it's still a big, something that we're all dealing with. And you had talked about doing your job in the midst of COVID-19, and you said I changed my mindset and it made all the difference. Can you go into that a little bit more?
Yeah. So I am in charge of our growth team for our company, and we had just recently added on a new member. And so we have a team of 3, and this is really kind of a new section and position into our franchise, into our business. And so with that becomes pressure, pressure just to make our team successful. And right as soon as we got, our team settled, COVID hit, the offices closed, everything shut down. And at first I was like down in the dumps. Oh my gosh, I was thinking, this is going to be terrible. Nobody's going to switch companies right now. I had this just bad mindset, and it just affected my every thought. And I finally woke up one day and I said, you know what? Like, this is the best opportunity for people to switch companies. Like, everything is paused. People can transfer over their business, learn our systems, learn our tools. I changed my whole mindset of what I feel like why this is the best time ever for people to move. And when I feel something and I truly believe in it, it comes off in what I'm saying. And so I just started reaching out to people, and I changed my whole mindset, and we're growing. I mean, we are like one of the only companies who are growing right now. And it's because I changed how I was thinking, and reaching out to people and excited about it, and getting them excited, because people feed off of your energy and what you put out there. And that really has made all the difference in the world, is just getting my head in the right space.
Yeah, I love that story. That gave me goosebumps. I love it. Okay, so that's definitely a moment, I think, almost one of those like career defining moments, right? Where you make that switch and you say, yeah, remember that time that COVID hit and I completely changed my mindset and look what it did. But is there any other moment of like, where you were super brave, or you had this strong conviction that you can look back and go, yeah, that was a defining moment? Anything like that stands out?
Oh, geez. I can't really think of one defining moment, but the bravery piece of it that you said is, I always took opportunity. I always took advantage of opportunities that were in front of me. It is very easy to be scared of change, and it's always easy to rock the boat and worry about hurting feelings or what they're going to think. And I really just put my mind to, taking advantage of the opportunities that I have created and that have been put in front of me. And that has taken me to where I'm at right now.
Yeah. Oh, that's so great. And I look at that as like listening to your intuition, because there are a lot of times I think that there are opportunities that come in front of us, And yet we really don't tune in to that opportunity. And so we just kind of let it pass by, or sometimes we don't even notice it. So I really think the more you're in tune with your intuition and your eyes are open to those different opportunities, and then you say, okay, this is something that's been, like you said, like presented to me, I'm going down this path, I'm going this direction. I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
So for someone just starting their journey to hit their goals, whether it's work or personal, what advice would you give them?
Oh man. Geez, I don't know. So I think I would honestly say just, take, like we were just talking about, take all the opportunities you can, create your own opportunities, meet people, surround yourself with people you want to be like.
Yeah.
I really think surrounding yourself with whoever you look up to and gaining advice, seeing what their road was, really understanding different other ways of thinking other than your own, will help you grow and to help you get a clearer vision of where you want to go.
Yeah, that's great. I know you have a strong, supportive team around you, but is there someone in your life that you think, gosh, if it wasn't for this person, or they've just been a huge inspiration to you, either that you know personally or someone that you follow?
You. Well, you are a perfect example of that. I mean, we've always worked together. We were peers, and then you were my boss, and you were always that person who, like, kept me grounded and always let me know where I could go, and always reminded me of the sky's the limit, and reminded me of my talents. And I mean, you really helped me get to where I'm at right now, where other people didn't really see that in me. So I thank you for that.
I'm crying now.
Oh.
I didn't know you were going to say that. That's awesome.
Yeah, but I mean, and you were, the top of this franchise. I mean, you had a great thing, and you went out to do what was best for you. And I admire that.
Aw,
I
thank
do.
you. That's awesome. You know what? You've pushed me just as much as I've pushed you along the way all these years. So yeah.
Thank you.
So, okay, next question.
Yes.
So how can people reach you? So if they're interested in a career in real estate, if they have any questions for you, how can they get in touch with you?
You can call me on my cell phone.
Like, call me.
You can call me if you have any questions, even if it's not real estate related. Most everything that I've been through and the stories, there anything I can help with, as far as motivation goes, or just how I've overcome something, it really will kind of fit into life in general. It's not just real estate related. I didn't have a silver platter, of opportunity. I had to go out and create it and work really hard. And I've seen a lot. I've been through a lot. And I really think that I can help anybody with just some of the advice that I have. Maybe, I don't know, maybe people have their own. I don't know. But anybody can call me anytime.
Mm-hmm.
They can, friend me on social media. I can send out my cell phone number too.
All right. Do you have like a LinkedIn profile that they could contact you at, or?
Yeah, just my name, Tiffaney McClurg.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Great. Well, Tiffaney, thank you so much for sharing your story with us today. You have really crushed some serious goals in such a short amount of time. You're super young, super motivated, just one of the most positive people I know. And I'm so thankful that you're here. You have fiercely pursued your dreams, and you've decided that you're going to take that path of boldness. So thank you for sharing your story with us. And I love being part of your life and watching your journey.
Thank you. I'm a yes warrior.
That's right.
Yes.
All right. Thanks, Tiffaney.
All right. See ya.
Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next Yes Warrior interview. Bye.
Bye.